you can get into a pub fight over should we get rid of them or not, whereas over here you're not going to get into a pub fight.
It's more contentious in the UK.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's still something that's debated, is why should we be paying for this, and what good do they serve, and that's one of the challenges that each generation of the royal family have, which is how do you maintain your relevance to the country, and that's something they think about a lot. And it's one of the things that we discussed in the rehearsals was, what is the job? What is the job of being the monarch? How do you know you did a good job? When you go to bed at the end of the night and you want to pat yourself on the back, how do you know if you did a good job? Because there's no job description.
Where did you land on that?
It's literally what you want to make of it. And that's why Edward wouldn't have been a good king, because he saw it. Interestingly, they both saw it as a burden.
Yeah, this is sorry, I should say this is George VI's brother.
Yeah, who abdicated
the throne. Yeah.
They both saw it as a burden. He was into the more into the kind of the privilege and the frippery of it, whereas Albert, who became George VI, he saw it as a responsibility and a duty, and really it was his experience during the Second World War that defined what the job was for him, and that was that he had to be a sort of source of of morale boosting for his country, and one of the things that they decided to do, for example, was they weren't going to leave London whilst the war was going on and while the Blitz was going on. They were going to live with exactly the same rationing and exactly the same conditions in terms of their electricity and water supply and stuff like that, so that they had it was no different for them than for anybody else. And when Roosevelt visited during the war, he comes to visit Buckingham Palace. Eleanor Roosevelt wrote this letter back to her friends of hers back in the US, and she was shocked at the conditions that they were living in. The sort of the meager portions of food that were available. There was a line in the bathtub. You couldn't fill your bathtub above that. Yeah.
And this was in Buckingham Palace. This was in the palace.
Yeah, the palace was peeling. There were mice running around.